I met Sara at a concert party, and I was enthralled by her playing, so impassioned and lyrical. And her idea of a programme of music inspired by myths really appealed to me. I've always felt that the stories flow in our bloodstream through all media, certainly not only words. Kim Brandstrup and I have often worked together. He's a wonderfully sensitive storyteller through dance, and being Danish, has a deep affinity with fairy tales.
I was very glad to be asked by Spitalfields Music Festival to compose a new duet for this project. I like being able to explore different ways in which two people can interact within the flow of music. This music is for violin and piano. My aim was to shape the music with a lightness of touch, to let the music create an impulse for the dance, and to carve out enough space and time for the dancers to inhabit.
I think, like a lot of creative projects, it's been a very slow evolution from first having the idea to this eventual delivery, and that makes it all the more exciting that we're here now. It actually started in my head in about 2007 when the composer David Matthews wrote me a piece called Venus and Adonis. And I have a background a little bit in classics as well. I've always loved it and been very drawn to the world of Greek myth. And finally, the two passions are coming together with the music and the myth. And when I met Marina at a party a few years later, I mentioned this idea to her, and she really took it on board and was up for it. And I very much liked the idea of her. I love her writing. I love the way that the kind of insight she has into this world. And I thought it'd be wonderful to collaborate with her. And at that point, we didn't have the choreography idea. That came later. That was another step in the journey. And but because myth is so physical and the pieces that we're playing are so they're so elusive to particular myths, I thought it would be wonderful to have them enacted, and that's the origin of this project.
Personally, I find it such a delight to work in such a small unit. When I did Cupid and Psyche before, it was a full-length ballet, and suddenly to actually hone in on just the essence of the situation, and also just being four people, you can really tune into each other's sense of pulse and time. The wonderful thing is the idea of somebody being very present but not being seen. So the sense of the air around you is full of something. There is a presence, a breath in the air that you feel but you cannot see. So it really is focusing on the sensation of the presence and of the music. I mean, that is the way we feel music. It is vibrating in the air and pushes you gently.
The word mythos means a story told in public, a tale held in common, and it differs by implication from logos, the word as law. There's a hint of oral versus written underlying this contrast, of fluidity rather than fixity. The logos is and stands immutable in its truth, the statutes of a nation, the 10 Commandments, while the mythoi keep shape-shifting, which is why this kind of story is so hospitable to rewriting by different hands and to reshaping in different media, including, of course, music and dance. Myths are constantly enriched by thought and imagination, working to press deep into the conditions of existence, striving to extend our human faculties' scope. A myth is an incredible tale, often at the limit of bearing, and the gods' behaviour breaches human ethics again and again, until their transgressions come to establish, by contraries, how we humans should behave. Since the Greek chorus played parts in these stories, Myths have flourished in symbiosis with music and dance. You can't really distinguish religious rituals from the development of the performing arts, and myths are central to both. Cupid and Psyche is a fairy tale that's embedded in a wonderful classical novel, which is a mixed genre book, both tragic and metaphysical and comic and grotesque, called The Golden Ass by Apuleius. And in the story, Cupid falls in love with Psyche, who's a mortal girl who's become more beautiful than the goddess Venus. Venus sends Cupid, her son, to Psyche to harm her, to make her fall in love with a monster. Cupid falls in love with her himself. And she's wafted by the west wind to a magic castle where she's waited on hand and foot by invisible attendants. It's a magic place, but she's alone there. So it struck me that it was rather similar to the conditions of many people in the pandemic. And there she's forbidden to look at Cupid. He comes to her every night, but she mustn't look at him. And that seemed to me a kind of inversion, a poetic inversion of what many people were going through, which was that we were allowed to see people. We could see them online, but we couldn't touch them. We could even see them in reality, but we couldn't touch them.